Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. We're just gathering in the boardroom and waiting for everyone to come in. So we'll get started here in just a few minutes.
Okay.
Hey, Pat, I'm sorry. I didn't think I was gonna make it, but
Oh, no, we're glad to have you. Glad to have you.
thank you. Will somebody else be providing audit and finance update in person?
Actually, no, we have it scripted to have everyone refer to the minutes from the meeting. But if you'd like to provide an update, you're more than welcome to. I can't hear, wait, I can't hear you.
I can refer them to the minutes from the meeting. That's okay. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I'll let you know when we're all ready to start.
Okay, I'm gonna go off camera until then. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Forgot you did. I would have walked out here without it. Oh, yeah. No, I'm just being dumb.
Well, I don't have a gavel today, but welcome everyone. Welcome. To do that, I'm gonna knock on this glass right here. How you guys doing this morning? I hope you guys are well. The sun is shining and the roads look very clear. And Valley Metro is doing an outstanding job. I seen the buses running today. I seen the rails going. It was amazing. And I seen people on the buses too. So staff, you're doing a great job. So I want to welcome the board members and to those that's online. Make sure if you have a question or anything, just raise your hand up. But at this time, I'm going to ask Pat to run the roll call, please.
Good morning, everyone. City of Avondale, Councilmember Max White.
Present.
City of Buckeye, Councilmember Jermaine Berry.
Here.
City of Chandler, Councilmember O.D. Harris.
Here.
City of El Mirage, Councilmember Monica Dorsey. Present. Town of Fountain Hills, Councilmember Peggy McMahon. Here. Town of Gilbert, Councilmember Kenny Buckland.
Here.
City of Glendale, Vice Mayor Lauren Tomlachuk. Here. City of Goodyear, Vice Mayor Wally Campbell. Here. Maricopa County Supervisor Steve Gallardo. Councilmember, City of Mesa, Councilmember Francisco Heredia. City of Peoria, Councilmember John Edwards.
Here.
City of Phoenix, Councilmember Laura Pastor. Town of Queen Creek, Councilmember Brian McClure.
Here.
City of Scottsdale, Councilmember Mary Ann McAllen. City of Surprise, Councilmember Earl Greenberg.
Here.
City of Tempe, Councilmember Jennifer Adams.
Present.
City of Tolleson, Vice Mayor Jimmy Davis.
Present.
Town of Wickenburg, Mayor B.G. Bratcher.
Present.
And Town of Youngtown, Mayor Michael LaVault. Chair, we are ready to proceed.
Thank you, Pat. Appreciate all the members of board being here, those that is present and those that are online. This public will, so just want to make sure that I reiterate that if you have a question, concern, just let me know. I got you covered. So we'll start with item number 1. The public will be provided with an opportunity to speak at this time or to address items on a non-agenda item or call or all action agenda items for the joint RPTA and VMR meeting agendas. Pat, is there anyone here that has any comments?
No, sir, not today.
All right, thank you. Moving on to number 2, report from our amazing CEO who was just recently recognized for her outstanding work. And I don't know about you guys, but our CEO have been doing a phenomenal job being this, you know, for her, for the 4 years that she's been here. 3 years, it's been 3, some days, okay. Well, I must be predicting 4 years already, okay? But the work that you have been doing is outstanding. The community of Arizona has really rallied behind your work. You have a plethora of experiences, and I was glad to be with you recently to see you be recognized. Another outstanding, she was recognized with some other great leading women. Mayor Kate Gallegos was one of the many that was being recognized with Jessica. And I could just tell you, to see you on the stage with all these amazing women and you being recognized, I just, you know, it's just a different level of respect that I have for you in the work that you're doing. So I just wanted to make sure I take time to acknowledge our CEO who's doing such an amazing job. It's not just coming from me. The community recognizes it too. And it's always good to have third-party validation But keep up the good work, and we appreciate what you're doing. So I just want to make sure everyone give her a round of applause for the work that she's doing. All right, we support you and we appreciate you. Now you can get to work.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Speaking of recognition, at the Women's Transportation Seminar 40th Annual Scholarship and Awards Dinner, the Northwest Extension Phase 2 project received the Innovative Project of the Year. It's a great honor, I believe the 14th regional or national award bestowed upon the Northwest Extension Phase 2, including earlier this month, we received we were a finalist for the Engineering News Record Project of the Year. We were also the national winner for Project of the Year in the Airport and Transit category. So congratulations to our team for delivering an excellent product. And we look forward to bringing the innovation that was introduced through the Northwest Extension Phase 2 project to our other construction projects moving forward. So good news. Well done, team.
Good job, staff. You know what? Let's give it up for our staff too. I'm sorry, you guys. We're not gonna. Come on in. And we're not gonna be doing all these clappings in future meetings. This is the only time we get to act a little bit undignified. But we are very grateful and thankful for the work that staff is doing along with our CEO. Keep going.
Take control of the remote here. You know, last month at our meeting, one of our council members asked the question, what are we doing with artificial intelligence to help us make decisions and obtain information? And I want to share just a preview of a tool that is newly part of our toolkit called AlphaView. And AlphaView is a tool that is using crowdsourcing and artificial intelligence to scan social media, traditional media, as well as our customer contacts looking for emergent themes. And we can query AlphaView, we could query it right now and find out what the public or customers were saying this morning. So we're using this alongside other sources of information to triangulate and figure out what do we need to work on, what's important to our customers, and where can we drive improvements in performance. For example, connections and timeliness have been frequently mentioned in our customer service contacts and in social media. This came up in AlphaView. It's also come up through our transportation team's analysis of customer contacts. We used another tool, Swiftly, that allows us to monitor system performance in real time. And by the way, our member city staff also have access to Swiftly to monitor the system. So we've used that to improve on-time performance. And in the last year, we've improved on-time performance on our East Valley bus service by over 10%. So remarkable achievement using these tools. The secret sauce, though, is really our dedicated team. In this case, it's service planning and our transportation team who have been able to take that data and turn it into action, delivering better service from our customers. One of the pieces of AlphaView that's just come out that I like quite a bit, this is an AI chat agent called Ask Your Data. So I can use it, log in the morning and type in, it's kind of like, hey Siri, hey AlphaView, what are our customers saying about our announcement about the forthcoming opening of the South Central Extension project? So really helpful tool, and I wanted to pass that on to you this morning. Also want to share some exciting news related to our South Central Extension and Downtown Hub project. For the last several years, Valley Metro has been working with Downtown Phoenix Incorporated in coordination with some of our development partners to deliver a community resource hub at the Cityscape development, home to the new Downtown Hub. That's our Central Avenue platform, so really ground zero for the northern end of the South Central Extension. DPI, along with their downtown ambassadors, I'm sure you see them when you're in and around downtown wearing their bright orange shirts, and they are so incredibly helpful, providing information to visitors and residents. This is going to be their back office or base camp location. We'll also be using this for our security team to have a reporting location that is central on the system. Today, all of our security team members, by the way, report to our operations and maintenance center, which is just a little bit off the revenue service alignment near our 44th Street station around the Sky Harbor area. But as the system grows geographically, we really need a base camp near where the action is, if you will. So we'll be using this as dispatch, recovery, and respite, also as a base point for helping to navigate with our customers. So you could expect our customer experience coordinators, as well as our security team, including that new Intercon team who's joining us on May 12th to use this. And we will open in advance of the opening of the South Central Extension, which is happening, I hope you have heard, on Saturday, June the 7th. We are delighted to be delivering this project for and with the Phoenix community, especially the South Central community. It's been a long time coming. Our operations, safety and security, capital development, communications teams, especially along with the entire Valley Metro organization and our many partners, are working really round the clock at this moment. We're in that final push to deliver the project. Right now, we're finishing up construction. We are doing operator training on a portion of the alignment beginning May 1st. We will be conducting what we call pre-revenue operations. That means we're going to be running trains along the alignment, simulating revenue service for the purpose of training our operators. We have 30 days at least of training that we have to complete, so we won't be carrying customers during that time. But to the community, it's going to look and feel like an operating light rail corridor. And then we will welcome the community on board on the morning of Saturday, June the 7th. And I hope you all are able to join us for this momentous event. Other key dates of note include the meeting of this board of directors on May 22nd. We're going to present the preliminary budget to you this morning. Ken will provide a presentation to you. It is our hope that we would be able to present the budget for approval to you in May. We typically schedule that in May. In the event we do need to fall back to the month of June before our fiscal year concludes on June 30th of this year. That concludes my report. May I answer any questions of the board, Mr. Chair?
Thank you. Is there any questions from any of the board members? All right, seeing none. Next is the minutes from March 20th, 2025. Is presented for approval. Is there a motion and a second to approve the minutes for March 20th, 2025?
So
board meeting? There's been a motion.
Second.
And there's been a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Any opposed? Say nay. All right, the ayes have it. Move to number 4. Councilmember White for the Audit and Finance Committee.
Good morning, and thank you, Mr. Chair and fellow board members. I have Audit and Finance Subcommittee update for you. Our Audit and Finance Subcommittee, we met on Thursday, April 3rd. And if you could refer to your minutes for the details, we did receive our update from our CFO. We have an extensive budget conversation ahead of us today. We also received an update from our chief auditor. So I will give you the opportunity to peruse the minutes. If you have detailed questions, please ask those in the room. Other than that, our next Audit and Finance Subcommittee meeting will be held on Thursday, May 8th at noon. Thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you so much for that update. Next, we'll move to item number 5, job ordering contracts and expenditures to authority. So I'm going to give this over to our CEO to give us a presentation on this item.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members of the board, I invite Trevor Collin, our Chief of Capital Development, to provide a brief presentation on this item. Our job order contracts are really helping us deliver a pretty wide array of capital projects as well as maintenance across the system. This item is before the joint board today because we use the job order contract for non-rail projects as well as rail projects. Mr. Collin is going to highlight a few of the more recent pieces of work that we accomplished with JOC, as well as the work upcoming, which prompts us to request board for this additional expenditure authority on the existing job order contract. Mr. Collins.
Thank you, Jessica, Mr. Chair, and members of the board. This is a quick summary of our job order contracts. We have 3 job order contractors, all with an overall contract expenditure authority limit of 20 million. That's Banachke Construction, SDP, and Stacy and Whitbeck. We're currently about halfway through our base year term. We are not requesting at this time that the board take action on the 2 option years. So there are 2 option years available. This is simply an action to increase the expenditure authority limit in total for all 3. So cumulative, they each don't get additional. It's a total working cumulative authority of an additional $19.7 million. These are just some pictures of types of projects that we've utilized the job order contracting delivery method for. The majority to date has been for VMR related projects, but we do have rail facility improvements. We do a wide variety of work from concrete, landscaping, rehabilitation, HVAC. We've done a lot of work in support of infrastructure for the new fare collection system. We completed the Avondale Transit Center in partnership with the City of Avondale in the last couple of years. Tenant improvements. We've had some rail breaks over the last couple of years. And the job order contract, it's really important that this is a flexible and timely service. I'll give you a sense of some of the types of or sizes of projects that we have. The vast majority are about half, 47% or less than $100,000. The next category, the orange, between $100,000 and $500,000 is about 36%. And then the remainder in the green, the 9% is between $500,000 and $1 million. And then the blue, sorry, the remainder there is between $1 million and $2.5 million. So this is generally what you would like to see in a job order program. We're using it appropriately. The vast majority is very quick, responsive. We have accidents that we have to redo railing, repaint. So the current usage between VMR and RPTA is split currently at 96% for VMR and 4% for RPTA. In the long term, we do anticipate over the base year of this contract that'll be closer to 90%, 10%, based on some efforts that we have to do bus fleet electrification, as well as a new park and ride in the town of Gilbert. This is the math on how we arrived at our request for the additional 19.7 in expenditure authority. We're taking into account executed task orders and then anticipated needs, and we do include a 10% contingency in there. These are the major, or what we're foreseeing is the major next projects. I will not read them all to you, I promise. But as I mentioned, there is a town of Gilbert park and ride that we're excited to construct here in the next couple of years. I already mentioned the electric bus charging infrastructure. We're currently underway with a crime prevention through environmental design assessment. We do anticipate some needs to come out of that. We're also wrapping up collision reduction travel time improvement study on our rail system. Same thing, we'll anticipate some improvements there. And then some more of the continuing things that we see. So with that, Mr. Chair and members of the board, the recommendation is before you.
Can you go back one slide, please?
Sure.
Board members, this is what we're going to be spending the money on. Just wanted you guys to take a moment, look at it, see if you guys are okay with the items. There seems to be a question online, John, Councilmember Edwards.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I have 2 questions. So this is all the projects that are on the table, or are there other projects that are not on this list that may come up at a future date?
Yes, and Mr. Chair, thank you, Councilmember Edwards. This is certainly not an exhaustive list. These are the major projects and how we developed what we see as the future need through the base year of the contract. Certainly there will be things that come up. Accidents can happen, a rail can break, but this is the major. So this is not to be an exhaustive list of projects that the board is approving. We're asking for the expenditure approval.
Okay, so the $19 million, 19.7 is all of these projects and some more left over, or I'm just trying to get some clarification on that.
Yeah, these are the major efforts that we've arrived at the 19.7. It does include a 10% contingency. We purposely haven't put dollar amounts by each of them just because they're yet to be bid out. But this is by and large what we're looking at and what we're anticipating for how we derived the 19.7.
And so the 19.7 is primarily all for capital expenditures, not any operating expenditures. Is that correct?
That is correct, Mr. Chair, Councilmember Edwards. That is correct.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I just want to follow up on that. So it states anticipated future projects. That's where the 19 will go. The other additional projects, at what point will we see those?
Yeah, so we operate under an expenditure authority within that. It has not been the practice to bring individual task orders before the board for approval. The task orders are assigned within the current year budget. So this is an expenditure increase. And so we work with whatever the user department is, if it's bus maintenance, and then we assign them from there. So this is how we developed our projection of needs for this contract through the base term.
If I may provide a little context for that. So the actual projects or programs are included in our capital or operating program budgets, depending on whether they're capital or operating and whether or not they're RPTA versus Valley Metro Rail. This item before you requests expenditure authority. So we're not requesting the budget authority. That happens in the budget process. This is requesting expenditure authority on this particular job order contract. So this is the vehicle for executing the projects and programs that are included in the capital and operating program, including the contingency that Mr. Collin mentioned, which is especially important on this particular contract because we do use the job order contract to perform repairs on brakes. So we don't know in a given year with certainty how many rail brakes we're going to have, but we can look at the age of our system, the condition of our assets and our past experience and come up with an estimate, which is included within that contingency.
Well,
Does that
thank
answer
you.
your question?
Yes, thank you for that explanation because I think probably that's then where we get confused. And we probably need a thorough explanation, not saying anything bad, but at the beginning of saying, this is what it is, even though I have a briefing and it tells me everything, I think probably setting it up for the public to know would be best.
Thank you for that feedback, council member. We can certainly accomplish that. And I think that we can clarify that in the white paper and in the presentation moving forward.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My question is, so is there unallocated PTF funds for this remaining Prop 400 money I just want to have a little bit clearer understanding of the funding source.
Yeah, and thank you, Mr. Chair, Vice Mayor Tommelchoff. It's multiple funding sources. For example, I'll give you one of the bigger ones will be the Gilbert Park and Ride. That is anticipated to use current unallocated PTF that is Prop 400. It is accounted for in the TLCP. A lot of these projects are federally funded. Some of them have local shares. So the funding sources are really, really variable.
Okay, so would basically just general fund Valley Metro money be, just regular, just general fund or I just want to understand Valley Metro. I understand member cities have responsibilities and federal funding, but Valley Metro, what funds of Valley Metros are going to be used for this?
So it depends on the project. And so I'll give a few for examples. I think that might be helpful. For example, on the electric bus charging infrastructure installation, we anticipate that effort would be supported by the Lower No Emissions grant awarded in federal fiscal year 2023, plus PTF funding. On something like accident repairs and emergency services, I'll use rail brakes since I just referenced those. That would come out of our formula funded State of Good Repair program, federal formula-funded state of good repair program, as well as some operating funds from the member cities on the Valley Metro Rail budget. Federal funding is included in nearly every program that I see listed here, the mix of funding. So which federal funding source, whether that's formula or a specific grant is specific to the project. When we opened the Avondale Park Ride, that was a project that was recently completed. That was federal funding plus regional public transportation funds. So many of these projects that are being executed now have had the funding allocated in years prior. So this isn't new money. And I don't want to give the impression that there's a fund set aside of unallocated PTF that we're spending down for these projects. Most of them have been long time planned. Others where we have increased our spending and focus really relate to things like state of good repair on the rail side, as well as state of good repair on the bus side. I think we saw the Mesa Park and Ride Lot rehabilitation or Mesa O&M facility rehabilitation, for example.
Okay,
Did
thank you.
that answer your question,
Yes, it
Vice
does.
Mayor?
Thank you.
All right, are there any more questions regarding this item? All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much, staff, for doing a good job of putting that together. Thank you for the presentation. We'll move on to item number 6.
Chair Harris?
Oh.
We
Yeah,
need
we
a
gotta one step back.
motion.
Just want to move on. Come on.
Approval of the job order contract, increase expenditure authority.
Hello, Chair.
Wait a minute, hold on. Vice Mayor, did you make that?
Made the motion.
You made the motion?
Pastor said second.
Pastor said second. I was hoping Mr. Edwards would say second, but it's okay. All right. With that being said, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Say nay. All right, the ayes have it. It is so moved. Now we can move to number 6. Class and compensation study. I'm gonna, Jessica, take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I'd like to invite Penny Lynch, our Director of Human Resources, to the podium to provide you with a brief presentation. This item, the classification and compensation study, I want to reference that any expenditure related to classification and compensation implementation is included in the draft FY26 budget for the RPTA budget. And just a reminder, technically all Valley Metro employees are RPTA employees, and then the Valley Metro Rail employees are supported through a pass-through agreement between Valley Metro Rail and RPTA. This is Valley Metro's first classification and compensation study since 2006, so it has been quite a while. However, take heart, because the organization has, over the last 19 years, endeavored to work to keep our wage rates at market or as close to market as possible. We needed to conduct this, not just for wage rates, but really also looking at the job classification, the pay bands and structures. They have moved and shifted over time in ways that make sense in some places and in ways that are not consistent across the organization. So it's not just wages, but it's really consistency in classification and a deliberate focus on how we build, develop, and support the Valley Metro team. Not surprising is where we're behind market in some of the wage rates. We know, and we can directly relate our vacancy rates to where we're behind market. And I want to call out in particular our skilled trades positions, particularly on the Valley Metro Rail side, where we are a 24/7, 365 day a year operation. And we do a whole lot of our work at night when those trains aren't running. And those skills that are required tend to be skills like electromechanics, traction power electricians. These are high voltage roles, and there's a lot of competition for those skills in our marketplace. We're fortunate to be part of a region that has a robust economy and a very strong construction sector. That's great, and we all benefit in many ways from that. But as an employer, we're also competing for workforce alongside those other organizations and businesses. Ms. Lynch is going to provide you with a brief overview of our study objectives, do a little bit of table setting as well. When we share data, I like to tell you where it's coming from. So we'll share our peer agencies and cities, as well as a high-level review of the results. Ms. Lynch, please.
Thank you, Jessica. Members of the board, just want to share as part of our, there we go. As part of our Invest in Talent strategic initiative, the class and compensation study is obviously central, as Jessica mentioned, to our efforts to attract, and retain qualified employees, as well as foster career growth. Today, I just want to focus briefly on the factors that are included in the budget planning within the budget to support any future implementation of the study. And the study, as Jessica mentioned, is still underway, but we have some key factors to share with you today. Oops. As a reminder, I just wanted to share with you some of the key study objectives that we've been focused on throughout the study. To, as Jessica mentioned, to be market competitive, to update our classification structure, help to develop some career progression within the agency and within roles, and to update our compensation philosophy. The Logic Compensation Group, who has been around for over 20 years and has actually done some studies for some of our member cities, is currently assisting us with the full study. And we provided Logic Compensation with a list of comparator organizations to go out to market. So I just wanted to share those as well with you. Here are the member cities, as well as our transit peers that were surveyed for the market, as well as Logic Compensation did some additional research, went out online for the City of Phoenix, City of Scottsdale, and some of our other peers. We went out and assisted in gathering that information, as many of our peers and cities were also underway with their class and comp studies. So let me share with you with the new proposed classification and pay structure, it does translate into projected cost, as Jessica mentioned, in the budget. And these are the key elements here. Now, please note that these adjustments are applied to applicable employees only. This is not all employees. So I wanted to share that information. I think that's critical. These are as a result of the study. There are two key elements I want to share. One, the slide itself highlights the budget impact based on the new class and compensation structure and any adjustments that would be made as part of that study. One being the market alignment. In this case, with the new pay structure created, there will be positions in which we need to bring those individuals up to the new minimum of that new pay structure. And secondly, we would then address any pay compression, which ensures for any pay equity. We want to ensure all of our pay equity. So there would be some compression. Obviously, we don't want to be paying a first-year employee the same as we might be paying a 5-year employee. And we certainly want to have some differential between our supervisors and the staff that they supervise.
The chair recognizes Vice Mayor Lauren Tomer.
Thank you. I don't like to interrupt, but before we move on, I do have a question on this slide, because the amount that you're showing, and maybe this is what you were just explaining and I didn't get it. So, but the amount that you're saying is for the class and comp for RPTA and Valley Metro Rail, there's different amounts in the budget presentation. Is that because it's not this? It comes out to 980,000, not 800,000. The budget presentation shows 371 for RPTA and 609 for Valley Metro Rail. And I just want to understand, is that because of this employees that are going to be onboarded in the future, or I just want to make sure I understand what the discrepancy is?
Yes, there is some. That's a great question. Thank you for that question. We have been working thoughtfully through cost-saving measures. Our originally 980 projected costs, we're continuing to work through that, and we are around 800,000, and it does include projections for new vacancies. So we have been looking and working with these numbers as we're progressing through the budget, and so we are seeing some cost efficiencies.
So thank you for that. Through the chair, is 800 closer to the number, or is 980 closer to the number?
Correct. 800 currently is closer to the number.
Very good. Thank you. That makes sense.
Trying to be very conscious of the environment and do the best cost-effective approach that we can. The next, Jessica had mentioned this as well. The next slide shows the distribution of those adjustments by classification group. So as you can see, I wanted to point out 52% of the impact on this adjustments are relative to our maintenance, operations, skilled trades positions, as well as our administrative staff. Those are our frontline staff. Those are hourly staff. And so I wanted to share that's very key information. Those will also assist us as well. And we've talked over several different meetings about the challenges of filling some of our high-tech positions, our traction power, some of those things we've had challenges filling, so that we will hope we'll address that. And so moving forward, I just wanted to share a little bit with you about the implementation approach. As approved or once approved, the July merits, if approved by the boards of directors, the performance merits, it's very important in the process that the performance merits are applied first. That will help contain the costs on the back end, obviously, when we implement the actual study. So I wanted to share that with you. It's a very key element with a projection of implementing any salary adjustments and study findings in October of 2025. So just wanted to mention that, and some obviously studies still underway, but that's our components that we are looking at for the budget.
Thank you so much for the presentation. Is there any question? This item was presented for information only. Oh, go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
I do have one more. This isn't a question. This is just a request. I understand on this one, you probably have a lot of positions that you're reclassing for job titles, pay, a variety of reasons. One thing that, so I understand why it's not provided here, but one thing that Glendale does, and I know some other cities do it too, is they provide a spreadsheet of current class, new class, and cost. So going forward, I think it'd be really helpful for the board to have, and if people don't care about that detail, that's fine. I care about that kind of detail. So I'd like to have that going forward.
Thank you, Council Member, Mr. Chair, members of the board. We can certainly provide that. However, we can't provide it at this time. The reason we're delivering this presentation to you today is to give background and context for the budget item. So we have yet to move through the detailed recommendations with executive team management to arrive at the specific classification structure and then the dollar amounts. We will have that and we will make that available to you. But I didn't want to include this as a line item in the budget without any prior communication or conversation. I also didn't want to wait to include class and comp in the FY27 budget because by then our data is aged and we're implementing a little bit behind the curve, if you will. Ms. Lynch, do you have an idea? Let's think about time at which we would be able to deliver that information to the board so we can create a reasonable expectation.
I would say in the new fiscal year, we could bring that back. So the full report.
Yeah. How about we bring that back to the board? I don't think we need to move it through a presentation, but we could include that in your August board packet.
Yeah, just as an attachment.
Perfect. Yeah. Let's target our August board packet for that information.
The chair recognizes Councilmember Buckley online.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So with the numbers varying from like the 980 to the 8, and I respect and appreciate the due diligence to try to find efficiencies, cost savings, given everything right now is hitting all the cities and towns and our residents. But you also said the study is still underway. And so I guess my question is, how confident are you that that's the number when you come, I think in June you said, or is this just more informational and based on additional work that you guys need to do, that number is subject to change?
That's a great question. What we have currently is the data that we've been analyzing. So that's a great question. Let me just say this. I feel very confident in the number. We are at the point where we just haven't shared that information going forward. We haven't shared that, as Jessica mentioned, with the team, but the data analysis as far as where positions sit relative to the new pay structure, as well as any types of potential compression, I think it's a pretty good projection. Yeah. So although the study, when we say the study's underway, there's just the study being next steps, sharing that with our leadership, sharing that with our employees, finalizing the report.
Okay, thank you.
If
Thank
I
you.
may, Mr. Chair, Mr. Buckland, the inputs have been collected and analyzed, and now we're working on the implementation plan. And the budget number we're presenting to you, that $800,000, that's our ceiling for implementation, and we will not exceed that ceiling.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great job.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work. All right, you guys, we're moving on to item number 7. This is for travel and expenditures. Is there any questions from any of the committees or anyone else about travel and expenditures? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to item number 8. Report on any current events, suggested future agenda items. Anyone got that? You got, go ahead.
A future agenda item, I would like to have a future study session to take a look at insourcing some contracts. So and after we're finished with the budget, I know now is not a good time, so I'm fine with having that, bringing that to a study session to us sometime after the budget's been adopted and we resume meeting back in August. Thank you.
All right, awesome. Anyone else? Councilman Pastor.
Yeah, there were 2 items. One is I would like a follow-up on the item of community engagement and a study session regarding community engagement and building a framework of what that looks like. Every city is different and every district in the city is different. And what different methods do we have to do into community engagement? The second one is I would like to look into a ad hoc committee for procurement and really looking at the procurement piece and having an understanding of it. We've had several questions and a lot of dialogue around it. So I think it behooves us to do that and have an understanding. And there's been changes, and I think it's wise for us to be part of that.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? All right, so you have what the future items could be. It sounds like we need to do a retreat. That's what it sounds like to me. We could probably put it all together on one retreat type movement, and then we can take in everything and just members of the board, just be prepared to have a retreat and a long day so we can knock it out together. That way we can really make this happen and look forward to August or sometime in the future. Go ahead, I see you.
I do. Well, I have a question for our council. I don't think we can do action items at a retreat, can we? So, and I think that the ad hoc committee would need a board vote, I believe anyway, wouldn't it? So that would have to be probably done in a regular, I'm asking you, but I don't generally retreats, as far as my experiences, are not noticed for any action, so.
So a retreat is an extended study session, so we wouldn't take action there, but we can agendize the item for a committee for sure.
Okay, that's fine with me.
All right. All right, we're doing this together, you guys. Let's go. All right, let's get on to number 8. Number 9, the next meeting of the joint board is scheduled for Thursday, May 22nd, 2025 at 11:15 a.m. Thank you. All right, move on to the next meeting, which is, I want to welcome convene the members to this meeting, Valley Metro RPTA Board of Directors for April 17th. The consent agenda is presented for action and requesting a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda items 1A through 1C.
I move that we accept the consent agenda items 1A through 1C.
If I may, I'd just like to make a statement on item 1B before we vote on it.
Okay, all
I
right.
don't need to have it pulled, but I would like to just, there's a route in there that is, refers to the Arrowhead Town Center Transit Center. And I've talked to our staff and they're fine with the vote going ahead, but we are still negotiating with Macerich on that. So we may be coming back and saying that this route is to remain or to be reinstated. There's some issues with where it is and some of the behavior of some of the drivers and some other issues that we're trying to resolve with Macerich. So we're still working through that and we haven't given up on resolving that yet. So, but we're fine with going ahead with the vote. I just want to make sure that you and your staff are aware of that.
Before you respond, we had a motion. I need a second. Okay, thank you. We got the motion, a second. Now we can include the comments into the record. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Vice Mayor Tolmachoff noted, and I will commit. I actually wanted to introduce, in response to your question, our new Deputy Chief of Service Planning, Michael Eshelman. I don't know, Mr. Eshelman, if you have anything to add on that matter or if this is a future action item. Michael joined us just about a month ago, and what a busy month it has been. He leads our service planning team now. He joined us from AC Transit in the San Francisco Bay Area, where he has worked in transit planning for some time. Michael and team, in addition to managing our day-to-day service changes, service performance monitoring, will be leading our comprehensive operational analysis, which does kick off this month. We are very excited about this sorely needed work. Mr. Eshelman.
Yeah, just thank you very much. So on that particular item, we've been working really closely with Glendale staff. That item is in the October proposed service changes as a placeholder in the event it's needed. So that is the primary reason it's included within this particular report.
Yeah, we're willing to, up to and including relocate the transit center someplace else on the property. That's not ideal. But that's a busy place. A lot of the employees there use that to get to work. It brings in customers. So it's an important piece in our system that we're committed to trying to work this out. So
Perfect. Thank you so much.
All right. So we had a motion, a second. There's discussion. Any more discussion? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. All right. The ayes have it. We're going to move on to item number 2. I know Kenny will appreciate this one. Gilbert Road Park and Ride Design, Construction, and Funding Agreement.
Sure, I'll invite Mr. Cullen to the podium in the event there are questions. This item, second time this morning, we're talking about Gilbert Park and Ride. This is authorization for an agreement between Valley Metro, or PTA, and Town of Gilbert governing the park and ride. This is not budget authority that comes in the budget, nor is it the vehicle for actually constructing the park and ride. That would be the job order contract, which the board just authorized that increase in expenditure authority. Just as a matter of background, Gilbert Park and Ride was formerly located in downtown Gilbert beneath the water tower. This very popular area has since been redeveloped, and the town of Gilbert has chosen to use that parcel for other uses. And so a park and ride will be relocated and reconstructed utilizing the job order contract. Thank you to the action of this board earlier this morning. The capital cost estimate for that park and ride is $5.2 million with an anticipated completion date in FY 2026. Mr. Collin, I hope I haven't stolen all of your thunder. Would you, are there any questions that we may answer regarding the forthcoming new Town of Gilbert Park and Ride? And I look forward to personally utilizing said park and ride.
All right, I'm just gonna hand it over to Kenny. He's the council member from Gilbert. Any comments, anything you need to let us know, any unsatisfactory moments that you want to talk about?
Thank you, Mr.
Just
Chair.
let us know.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'm really excited about this. I just wanted to give some context. Based on most current data, Gilbert is the 3rd largest municipality in Maricopa County now. And we have the one park and ride. What's really awesome about this is, in the location is of our just shy of 73 square miles. Where it has been is about 1.5 miles to 2 miles south of the Mesa border. We stretch all the way down to past Riggs Road in some places. This placement's going to be awesome because it is south of the 202 freeway. Can't prove it, but I suspect that it will help with ridership, because I think most people are going to say, well, I got to cross the freeway anyways to get all the way up to the downtown area. I'm just going to jump on the freeway and go to work in Phoenix or Tempe or Chandler when they don't work in Gilbert. So I think it'll be the placement I really like. I think it was a well thought out, and I do think that this is critical for our residents to help, like Jessica just said, get to the park and ride, jump on it. It also partners with the Chairs City, because this one I think continues into Chandler as well, a route there. So I think I probably said enough.
You can never say enough about your city. And I've been on TikTok, and all I see is Gilbert soon coming this, that, Gilbert. I'm like, I got to get Chandler TikTok algorithm up, because Gilbert is doing it big. All those influencers. Anyways, that has nothing to do with anything. But you guys, I'm gonna allow you to share some words, and then I'm gonna put it up for a vote. So.
Mr. Chair, thank you, and Councilmember Buckland. I really don't have much to add. I can certainly share that we looked at several sites. This is a city-owned land parcel near Cooley Station. It's going to be about 6 miles southeast of the current park and ride location. So just to what Councilmember Buckland was saying, you know, putting that further and a bigger catchment of potential customers for Express Route 542 and potentially others in the future. So with that, Mr. Chair, that's all I had to add.
Well, thank you so much. I would at this time request a motion and a second to forward to authorize to the CEO to execute the design and construction and funding agreement with the town of Gilbert for the park and ride project.
Motion to approve.
Yeah, well, okay. You want him to make the motion? Well, I haven't, okay, well, I'm requesting a motion.
I'll motion to.
No, they want Kenny to motion to
Oh.
approve the project.
Okay, I missed that memo. Okay, gotcha.
So moved.
Second.
All right, who wants the second?
I do
Thank you.
second.
The West, okay, we got a whole bunch of seconds from the West Valley. Let's see from the East Valley. Anyone?
Queen Creek, second.
It don't be like that.
All right, Pat, go ahead. There's been a motion and a second. Who wants to take credit for the second?
Queen Creek does. I'm a
Queen
clerk.
Creek does, of course, for the East Valley. All right, awesome. There's a motion, a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. All right, the ayes have it. Yay. Congratulations, Gilbert.
Gilbert appreciates the board, Chair.
Thank you for your service. Item number 3, RPTA fiscal year 2025 mid-year. I'm going to send this over to our CEO.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to invite Ken Kessler, Chief Financial Officer, to the podium where he's going to remain, hang out for a while for the next agenda item. We first introduced an FY25 mid-year budget adjustment for RPTA back in November of 2024. As time has gone on, we have more information, as we often do, regarding our budget to actual outlook now that we sit here in the final quarter of FY 2025. We no longer will require a budget adjustment. Some of that is just reduced expenditures we anticipated. Some of the magnitude of those reduced expenditures has increased. Also, our anticipated expenditures in some areas, including paratransit, have come down a little bit. There's a table included in your packet summarizing this information, but I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Kessler now.
Thank you, Jessica. Chair, members of the board, I think the slide doesn't reflect the agenda item one. I think there's a little mix up there, but anyways, we're talking about the what we had earlier proposed as a mid-year budget adjustment, as Jessica mentioned. As we looked at the numbers, as this item was tabled the last couple of meetings to answer some additional questions folks had, we took a deeper look at the numbers later into the fiscal year with more data on actual expenditures and where we're at fiscal year to date. And given the fact that we only have a couple more months left in the fiscal year, we've determined that a budget adjustment is not necessary because we project that we will actually underrun the overall budget quite significantly, and the operating budget specifically by at least a couple $100,000. So this is just an information item to let you all know that the mid-year budget adjustment we had been moving forward with previously is not necessarily needed at this point, as we should be well within our budget. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Is there any questions? Any questions? All right. Thank you for the presentations. Oh, wait, there was one. Go ahead, Councilmember Edwards. The chair recognizes Councilmember Edwards online. Oh, okay, that's a pass. Okay, there's no questions. Thank you for the presentation.
Mr. Chair, there is a question.
Oh, okay, I didn't, okay. I'm sorry, there was a delay. Go ahead.
Okay. Sorry about that. So the fact that we don't have a mid-year adjustment, it still doesn't change the fact that the paratransit project is still over budget by, what is it, $2.5 million, which now it appears is being dealt administratively through our existing budget. Is that correct?
Mr. Chair, council member, the individual programs that are showing overruns, I mean, they are over budget. And, Mike Powell and Tom Young have met with all the member cities on a few occasions to kind of walk through the paratransit impacts to make sure everybody was clear and have a good understanding of the impacts of that program specifically. But since the agency board does approve the budget at the overall level, the need for a mid-year budget adjustment for the actual agency budget is not necessary at this time. But the information on the paratransit overrun has been shared with city staff.
If I may, Mr. Chair, Councilmember Edwards, I want to recognize your comment and commit that Valley Metro staff is actively working to do what we can within the existing contract construct to reduce expenditures on the paratransit contract and also to more accurately forecast expenditures as we've done for the draft FY26 budget. We recognize the importance of paratransit service and ride choice, as well as our need as a community, as a region, as Valley Metro RPTA to control cost growth in paratransit.
Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Is there any more questions from the board or comments? Hold on. Oh, go ahead.
I have a comment. I think the paratransit, none of us are in agreement of way I would say, none of us are in agreement of the way paratransit's being paid and how the contract was written. So my intention, I mean, my statement is, as we move forward, to make sure that we're not in that type of contract in the future. And I think that's where we're hearing some of the comments coming from very different cities, because cities are paying for it, and for us to go back to our constituents and say, well, we got to pay for it, which I will say that. And it's the way the contract was written, and now we'll do our due diligence in the future. So I think that needs to go on the record for her, at least for me. I don't know about my other colleagues, but I think my other colleagues feel the same. So
I agree with Councilmember Pastor, and I mean, even though I know in Prop 479, the way paratransit's paid for is going to be different. It's going to come off the top. It's still money off the top. So cost control still, whether whoever's paying for it, wherever it's coming from, is still really, really important. And I mean, I understand the difficulty in an on-demand service of controlling cost. It's very complicated, but I think we're all in the same position where it's really gotten, I don't want to use the word out of control, but it's gotten incredibly expensive to provide the service. So even though I know our city's committed to, even though the money is going to be coming off the top, cost control is still be important in paratrans, because that's money that's still not on the table for other things that we need to do. So.
All right. It looks like a lot of heads are nodding that they agree with those comments. So just want to make sure online knows that the heads are nodding yes, as well as the record. So that presentation was for information only. Staff, you've been given feedback from the board, and we appreciate you. Thank you so much. All right, moving on to the next item. Item number 4, Valley Metro RPTA fiscal year 2026 preliminary operating capital budget. Jessica, take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is the next step in our iterative budget development process. We bring the budget to the board and to our staff committees in a number of stages throughout the course of the year, beginning in the fall, so that we can incorporate your feedback and direction. We also keep a very watchful eye on the budget capability and the revenue streams coming through our member cities. Most recently, we have met with member city staff and management leadership on several occasions in March and this month in April, including a financial working group and regional transit advisory group meeting that was held on Tuesday of this week. We shared the detailed information, including the write-ups that you have in your packet today, and we have been responsive to the feedback that we have received from board and from city staff and leadership. Hopefully you've had the opportunity to review that packet. Before Ken provides his presentation, I want to provide a little bit of background information. For the RPTA FY26 budget, our budget request is $279.2 million. Again, that's operating budget. This is an increase of $300,000 over the FY25 operating budget. That is a 0.00108% increase, so it's less than 0.2% increase. We have worked very hard to constrain growth in our RPTA operating budget to the greatest extent that we can, recognizing that some of our costs, particularly for labor and fuel, are going to continue to grow. The Valley Metro Rail FY26 draft operating budget request is $118.6 million. That's a 21% increase of $20.6 million. And I want to recognize that as the system grows, and we're very excited to deliver the South Central extension in June of this year, our cost for supporting that system increase related to expansion, but also related to the maintenance and sustaining of this fixed guideway system. And, you know, I've worked in and around transit for a long time, and fixed guideway transit, it really does continue to require cost and maintenance over the life cycle of the project. And even though we're still kind of young and we're expanding, our original system has now reached midlife. It's been more than half the life cycle at this point of those original assets. And so we've got a little reinvestment ahead of us. Most of the increases in the VMR budget are for proposed safety and security position, increase in contract rates beyond the expansion and maintenance that I mentioned, as well as insurance. Of particular interest in conversations with the board and member cities has been requests for new positions. Our original RPTA draft budget request included 21 positions. With your feedback and with pretty detailed conversations we've had with city leadership and staff, we've revised that budget request, which Ken's going to present today. We're now at 14 new positions, again, which is reflected in your packet. Much of those new positions are, I would put them into two different categories, not all of them, but the majority of them are either insourcing or they are positions responsive to our growing transit system. We have also identified other savings. You heard that from Ms. Lynch today on the classification and compensation study. We've moved from an initial request of $980,000 down to $800,000 as our ceiling for our class and comp implementation. I do want to note for the RPTA budget, increase in those 14 staff positions does not require member city contributions. Those staff positions would be supported through public transportation funds. Now for Valley Metro Rail, unfortunately, we cannot use public transportation funds to support operations. So those staff positions do impact our 3 rail cities operating budget. We have been very diligent in trying to control that growth as much as is possible. We will look forward to your feedback today, and we'll take that feedback into account as we prepare the next iteration and hopeful final draft budget, which we're going to share with you in May. I'm going to turn it over to Ken. It's a lot of information. He's going to walk you through also the content of the presentation. For my part, I am flipping between the narrative write-ups and the budget documents. So Ken's going to show you how to do that so that we can have a productive conversation. We look forward to your feedback and your guidance this morning.
Okay, thank you for that introduction, Jessica. So I'll jump right in. Presentation here. So just a reminder for folks that our budget is built based on our strategic plan. So here's that strategic framework. And as we go through the presentation, all of our new initiatives proposed for FY26 are tied to those strategic plan goals and that framework. So that way you can see how these initiatives relate to implementing our strategic plan. And then here's the initiative write-up, a sample that Jessica had referred to that's in your packet. This is just one example I want to walk through to kind of help you walk through it and know how to read it. So first, in the upper left side there, that's the actual initiative number, and those are referred to in the presentation slides that we'll review here today. And then we have the strategic plan goal, so it's clear which strategic plan goal that initiative supports. And then over here on the left side, we identify the agency. Many of these initiatives support both the RPTA and VMR agencies, but some do support solely either RPTA or VMR, and those are indicated in that box there that's identified. And then we have the initiative type, the initiative categories. So we have Valley Metro recommended initiatives. Those are the new initiatives. And then we also have in the packet, we have the ongoing obligations initiatives, those things that are really more inflationary, market, demand driven, those things that we really don't have a lot of control over. Just want to go back real quickly down at the bottom there. Those items circled in red, the dollar amounts, do want to point out that in each initiative detail sheet, we identify the estimated costs associated with each agency, whether it's just one agency or in this case, this example is both agencies. So there's a little bit of the cost for each agency. And as I go through the presentations here with RPTA first in this meeting, the cost you see on the actual presentation slides will be the cost respective to the RPTA agency only, not the full cost. So you may see some things like maybe a position with a very low dollar amount. That's because that's just the dollar amount associated with the RPTA agency. And then later for the VMR cities, you'll see the respective VMR share of that cost. Okay, do want to just quickly walk through how our budget is built. As Jessica mentioned, we started this process back in the fall. Building up the budget, working with our divisions across the agency, and then from there working through some input from member cities as we've gone through each step of the process. So we start with our base budget, which is really this year's budget going forward. We identify those areas where we have identified underruns and trim back, or any one-time items that are relevant to this fiscal year only, that will conclude this fiscal year, and taking those out. So that basically derives our base budget. From there, we add in those ongoing obligations. Those are those contract rate increases year over year built in those multi-year contracts we have, or just other inflationary items like fuel and things like that. Utilities is another example. And then from there, we have the new initiatives. Those are the items Valley Metro staff are recommending to implement in the new fiscal year as part of the strategic plan. And then adding all those up, that comes to our total budget. So I just want to walk through in the actual numbers here for RPTA, what that looks like. So we have a base budget that has about a $14.7 million reduction from the current year. I do want to note, it's important to note, about 11 million of that is due to Phoenix operated bus service that they are reducing their PTF share. And then the balance of that are a variety of things within the RPTA budget that are either areas of underrun, where identified we haven't spent the money in recent years, and so we've trimmed back, or some one-time items where they're in this year's budget, but going forward, they'll be completed in this fiscal year. So then we add from there, we add those ongoing obligations, and then the Valley Metro recommended items, coming up with a total of $279.2 million, which is about a $300,000 we'll round, there's some rounding there, so $300,000 change from last or the current year's fiscal budget, and just showing those new initiatives in the context of the overall increase from year to year. So it represents about 18% where those obligations, I'm sorry, 16%. Or no, yeah, I don't know, the slide was updated. I think it's actually 16%, where 84% is really those ongoing obligations. And then in the context of the overall budget, not just the increased items, is the overall increase on the recommendations is about 1% of the total budget. And then looking at the operating program by individual programs here, we see the $279.2 million budget. The two biggest items there being fixed route operations and demand service operations as well. And then the sources that support our operating program, primarily public transportation funds and member city contributions. Okay, I think there was a mix-up with the slide deck, but in your packet, there should be a slide here that shows the FY26 budget staffing changes from the previous versions of the budget. As Jessica mentioned, we have gone through these details with both Financial Working Group, RTAG, TMC, and AFS. And as a result of that, as Jessica mentioned, we reduced 7 of those positions. So in your packet, there's a slide that shows those specific positions that were taken out of the FY26 budget. It was a couple of customer experience coordinators on the VMR side, a couple of human resource positions, specialist of internal communications, project manager for capital development, and a financial analyst for contract performance.
If I may, Mr. Kessler, Mr. Chair, I want to make sure everyone has correct information. And I also, since we're reviewing a lot of content, I want to invite board questions as we move along quickly through the content so that we ensure we're responsive.
Just taking a pause. Anyone have any questions thus far? Okay. Oh, you have it. Okay. All right, and there's no questions. Keep.
Okay. And then also did want to refer to the next slide that's in the packet, not in this slide deck here today. Also, we show a comparison of some of the FTE requests that Jessica mentioned that's really insourcing existing work that we're doing with contracts today. So there's 5 positions identified in there, and we show that cost of the contract versus the cost of insourcing it, and the savings amount by insourcing and adding those FTEs. So no questions on that. We'll go ahead then. Now we'll go ahead and move on to the new Valley Metro recommended initiatives. So the first one here is deliver excellent customer experience. This one, we do have initiative number 1 in here, passenger engagement and education. This is some additional marketing to leverage our new fare collection system and our fare programs, and to get out there really to kind of get the messaging out there to folks to take advantage of our system and our enhancements to our technology for fare system, as well as our fare programs and getting folks engaged, and especially at the organizational level, bringing in more organizations to join our fare programs. And also included as part of this initiative is a new position, supervisor of passenger information systems. And this one is one of those that insources existing work done by contract. And this really is around wayfinding and signage, auditing the signage on the system now to find ways to improve it, as well as leading the efforts for production of putting new signage out on the system overall. I'll back up. Any questions on that initiative?
I guess my only question is that with the know that they had removed some of the positions. I just kind of wanted to ask the CEO with the removing of those positions, were there people already in it, or were they reassigned to something else?
Thank you for your question, Mr. Chair, members of the board. These were new initiatives, so there aren't personnel currently in those positions. They don't yet exist. Where we have removed positions, we've had pretty detailed discussions, and I want to recognize the work of the Valley Metro team in identifying what we can postpone in response to city feedback, what we can absorb within current staff. We're also, as we always do, looking at current vacancies across the organization and reallocating them as needed. I maintain things in part to Penny Blanchard, Director of Human Resources, maintain an ongoing list of vacancies, and we always make sure that every position is needed. Our needs do change over time. The composition of our team is dynamic. However, I want to assure the board and our city staff that the ceiling for expenditure of those positions is bound by this budget process. Each of the executive sponsors for these initiatives are here this morning and are available to come to the table to answer any questions about what's included, what we've removed from the budget process. So perhaps we can move quickly through the initiative explanations, Mr. Kessler, and I do want to make the board aware that the executive team are here and ready to answer questions.
Thank you, CEO. And we appreciate staff is doing a great job. Just wanted to make sure that if there were any removals, that we took those removals and making sure that I don't want people to be without jobs. If there's placements in other places where we can reposition them or put them somewhere else, that we're doing all that we can to make sure that we can remove the position. I just want to make sure that the staff that was in that position, that they were placed somewhere else within the internal organization, so they're not without a job.
Yeah, we have not contemplated in this draft budget a reduction in force or a layoff, to answer your question, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Keep going.
Thank you. Okay, so moving on to the next initiative. So under invest in our talent, we've got a couple items here. Agency staff compensation. This is the merit, an overall merit of 3.5%. That's an average. It reflects basically the last couple of years what our overall average merit was that we provided to employees. And then also in this item is the class and compensation study implementation.
The chair recognizes Vice Mayor.
I'm sorry, I didn't have to, sorry about that, Mr. Kessler. I just wanted to kind of back up to the 3.5% merit raise. I want to, first of all, an explanation is that up to 3.5%? COLA is 2.5%.
There's not a cost of living increase contemplated in the budget, and the merit is an average. The actual compensation increase for staff that we're proposing for merit would range from 0% to 5%. We used 3.5% as that was roughly the average of compensation increases from our merit-based process last year. Does that answer your question, Vice Mayor?
It does. It's just that I know that there are member cities. I know we're offering far less than that available to our employees or our cities, as far as I know, that are offering, not able to offer anything to their employees this year. We're at 2.5% and a max of, I think, 1% merit, because we're all kind of tightening our belts, looking at, you know, the current situation and the possible what could happen in the next fiscal year. So I just wanted to get a better understanding of what that 3.5%, there's not much of an explanation here of exactly what that is. If it's an automatic 3.5% across the board, and whether or not the board, I kind of feel like we should have this discussion before we get here as a board. But I mean, we're here now, so I don't know if anybody else has anything to say about that. I think a max of 5% is incredibly generous considering the current financial situation, but that's just where I'm coming from.
I do want to add, Mr. Chair, Vice Mayor Tolmachoff, we have benchmarked against our peer cities, and it really is spring of the calendar year, typically before we're able to get information from our member cities about their plans for cost of living, increase in merit. Mr. Kessler might have more detailed information. He, myself, and Alexis Harmon-Kinsey of Government Affairs have been working to obtain this information. I think we are on par with most of our member communities. Some are offering a COLA and a merit, some it's one of the other, and we're kind of looking at that across the board to see where we're at, and it's a max of 5%. That's for exceeds expectations on your performance evaluation. As part of our compensation philosophy, we would like to continue to tie compensation to performance and contributions in one's role. Given that inflation has cooled quite a bit relative to recent years, we're not proposing a cost of living increase.
Go ahead, Councilmember.
Yeah, I would have to agree with Vice Mayor Tolmachoff. 5% seems incredibly generous, and to be part of the organization, and if all of our organizations are tightening the belt, I would suggest the same. Just my personal opinion.
Okay, anybody else?
Thank you, Councilmember. I want to reiterate that it's a 5% maximum. The overwhelming majority of employees would not receive a 5%.
Yeah, and if I could add from last year, I believe, and Penny, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that like the number of employees that received the maximum merit was somewhere around 10% or less. It wasn't a lot of folks that received that much. Most folks got probably in the 2 to 3% range.
Okay.
You want to follow? You got follow up?
Yeah, I was just going to say that I understand 5% is the max, but many of the cities, 3% is the max. So that's just my comment. I think 5% is generous.
Go ahead, Councilmember Adams.
Yes, I agree with the discussion that's going on here. Like the city of Tempe, we're on a hiring freeze, and we're not filling positions. We're using our vacancy savings to try to stay afloat. We've cut our budget by 10% overall. So I'm concerned. I mean, the market's tanking. I just think the economy is heading in the wrong direction right now, and I think the 5% is too high of a raise at this time, unfortunately.
Right. That's another comment.
This is for merit increases, right? This isn't cost of living.
Yeah, there is no cost of living in this budget.
So right now we're sitting at that, nobody's getting the cost of living increase this year. But people might get merit increases.
Chair, Councilmember McMahon, that's correct.
Okay. Well, given that, I do think it's high. We just voted in on ours and the max we asked the majority would authorize was 2.5. And the mayor just asked to bring it back because he'd like to bring the cost of living raise up to 3% for our staff. So we're in that ballpark too. And for the same concerns. Just to let you know, since you're taking notes on it and playing it.
Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
I'd just like to say that the slide doesn't really reflect anything that you're saying. Oh, I mean, it doesn't say there's no cost of living raise. It doesn't say that it's from 0 to 5%. It doesn't really tell us what's going on. So, I mean, it's impossible for us to come really prepared. I still think that 5% max, you want to reward your top talent. But I still think, I don't know any city that's offering a 5% max in this budget cycle, at least. And we all talk amongst each other. I know we're certainly not offering a 5% max, and we are doing a COLA raise. But nobody's going to get a 5% raise in my city. So I don't know where everybody else is at, but I mean, whatever the board decides to do, I'm fine with that. But I would just say that what's in our packet could be a lot more clear on these type of issues. And I think honestly, going forward, this discussion should be had sooner than today.
Is there any more comments? I don't want to be I look at it more, we have COLAs and then we have merit. COLAs is typically what staff gets just because every year we know inflation does happen. That COLA is that's an inflationary the cost of living, the cost that it takes for them to get to work, all that stuff increases in 1 year. And typically the base that I normally see is the COLA is happening. The merit is something separate, which is their job performance, what they do. And they have in staff, there's the directors, they oversee what that looks like. And I think what we're sharing here is the max is 5. The average have been 2% within the organization based on the 5% going to those employees that's excelling or exceeding the expectation. But what I heard today is that on average throughout the community, if you take all those different factors in place, the average is 2%, 2 to 3%, somewhere in that range. I don't have a problem with the 5 because I do believe in merit. And I do believe that if you're going to exceed expectation, if you're going to do the things that really just makes you the champion for Valley Metro, delivering great customer service, which that's our purpose, and making sure that staff understands that you have that ability. The city of Chandler, we have a 5%. We have a COLA as well. And if those that exceed the 5, it goes past the 5, typically we stop at the 5. But I don't see a problem with having the 5 in place. And we'll just ask the staff to make sure that they continue to do a good job in monitoring that. But they're monitoring already because the average is only 2 to 3%. So I don't see, I don't want to take that away when we're not seeing it as an issue. I would rather keep it in place. And then if we see it as an issue, then we can look at it forward. But I understand where every board member is coming from. And I do understand that we are living in uncertain times and we're trying to be fiscally responsible. So those are just my comments that I want us to consider. And then we can have staff continue to work with our teams to make sure. So I don't know if anyone wants to add any additional comments or anything like that to it.
I could, Mr. Chair. But with the understanding that with the class and comp study, there's going to be adjustments for people who are already being underpaid. That's going to happen outside of this merit increase, right? So, like I said, I'm fine with going along if everybody else is okay with it. I would say 5%, anywhere over 3% would have to be somebody who's knocking out of the park every single day. I'm okay with that. I just, like I said, I'm a little disappointed with the amount of information in this report because it's really not clear what's happening until we have this discussion. And I think today's not the right day to be having this discussion anyway. So I'm fine with going along with, you know, if there's a consensus to leave it at 0 to 5%, I'm okay with that. I would imagine zero employees that are getting 0 probably are not likely to survive. And that's not our problem, but I just, you know, like I said, I'm just disappointed that we're doing this now. And this is a difficult discussion to have, but a lot of us are having these discussions on our own city, looking at our own budget and where we're at in our city. And that, you know, when the majority of the member cities are probably not offering this amount of, you know, raises to their employees because they're really concerned about the you know, the financial situation of, you know, all kinds of, there's a lot of stuff going on every single day. I mean, there's a lot happening. So I'm okay if there's a consensus. I'll go along with the 0 to 5%, but I would just say in the future, I think these discussions, we've been working on the budget for a long time. This discussion should be brought before the board before this point in the budget process. Thank you.
Yeah, Vice Mayor, thank you for your comments and stuff. And I want staff to make sure we take her comments and be reflective on those as well. Councilmember Adams.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't think we have consensus on the 5%. So I guess I would like to just maybe go around and see if we have consensus or not. What are we agreeing to?
Well, I think what we're talking about here is there's no COLAs, there's no cost of living increase that we're going to give. What we're talking about is allowing our directors and our team or our CEO to allow the opportunity to give our employees who are excelling up to 5%. I don't see that limiting our directors or limiting what we can give, which is up to 5, is not an issue. Across the board, we just already mentioned that across the board on average is 2 to 3%. So I don't see this as an issue in terms of needing consensus from the board because we're only giving those that are excelling the top amount and we're not giving them a COLA, a cost of living increase, this as well. But we are in the classic comp study, which will bring their rate of pay up to what everyone else get paid, their peers get paid. So that's what we're talking about here. And I don't see taking away an opportunity to give them up to 5% when we're only averaging 2 to 3% as an issue here. So, who wants to?
Oh, okay. Right. I understand your comments, Chair, but the max that our city employees can get is only 3%. So organizations that are a part of this organization, it seems it's just not congruent. I mean, you have, if Valley Metro employees are getting 5%, but the feeder cities are only getting 3%, it doesn't seem the same to me. That's just my personal opinion. I agree with Councilwoman, Jennifer Adams, that I don't think we have consensus. Just my personal opinion, 5% seems like a lot when all of us, and you know, granted, I'm in a city that seems to have so much money we can throw it away. Sorry.
No, I think what we're doing, I love this dialogue and we might have to cease to have the conversation at a different day. But I think what we're talking about is we have the base COLA, what I'm considering, we have the base COLA that we're not giving to our team, which is typically most cities have a way to help give the bump to their workers for just cost of living increase, inflationary, 3%. We see that in contracts and leases and all that other stuff. That's just the basis of what it is. The merit is on top of what they already are performing at. What we're saying in this particular thing, that they're not even getting that cost of living increase, but then we're gonna stifle what top employees can get in terms of their merit. If we're taking away something and then we're gonna reduce something else, we're taking a lot of something away. So we might need to have it on a different day so we can wrap it up and then we can go into a further conversation later. We got 2 questions online. I'm gonna allow Vice Mayor to say.
Thank you. Since I brought this up,
Yeah.
I think the argument isn't about whether or not we're going to leave people at zero, but what the cap is. I think that's what the argument is. So I think, you know, with all due respect, I understand where you're coming from, is that they're not getting a COLA. The performing employees are going to get something somewhere in the range between 2 and 3%, which is what the amount of what COLA is. COLA for 2025 is 2.5%. So I would imagine that, you know, all employees are going to be somewhere in that range. But I think the argument is, where is the max and where is the level playing field as far as what other cities are able to offer in you know, rewarding their employees, and doesn't have to be a level playing field. But I mean, you can see this is an uncomfortable thing to have to do today. I don't like being in this situation, but I think we have to be responsible. So I've talked to, I think what the idea is to propose another max. I think that would be a fair thing to do, is to propose another max. So that's just what I wanted to say. Thank you.
If I may, Mr. Chair, members of the board, I'm hearing your feedback. As a reminder, this is an informational item. Today, we're not asking the board to take action on budget. One item that we could do in between now and our next board meeting would be to provide you with that member community data that we have from member cities. And then we can just be able to share, here's where we are all at. And there's a range, right? We all have different compensation philosophies as organization, as well as different financial realities as cities and organizations. So if it would please the board, if it would help this particular conversation, we would be happy to go back and share that. If it's not helpful, then we won't.
Chair, may I speak?
Yeah, go online.
Okay, thank
Oh,
you.
Brian, go ahead, Councilman.
I appreciate that. I would like that information. I think that would be beneficial, so we can digest that and make a decision or a judgment for each of the board members to kind of give their thoughts. I will just share that Queen Creek does a max of 3% merit increase, but we do COLA. So it is a kind of a combination of both things we're talking about. And so I like that we're focusing on merit and not just everybody across the board, because you know, we do need to be fiscally responsible. So I would like to see that information, continue to hear what others think, and you know, initial responses, because we're not doing COLA, you know, and understanding that only 10% probably are getting up that higher threshold of merit increase. I'm open to that, but I like this discussion, and I think that you know, if we did do the 3%, would be the alternative, in my opinion, max, that would be in alignment with what we do in Queen Creek.
Vice Mayor Davis.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. So the top of this slide, I think, says it all: invest in our talent, right? I think it is very important that we, you know, even this is a difficult conversation. We are in very difficult times, but I think it is important that we take care of our talent so we don't lose them to rival organizations in the future, you know. And we're not giving a cost of living raise. It sounds like only a small percentage is getting a 5% raise. I think I heard 2.5% was the average or something like that. That's even less than 3%. So it sounds like majority of the people aren't even getting what most of the member cities sound like they're getting. So yeah, I think it is a good idea to, you know, for us to get the information on what all of the other cities are doing and kind of compare and contrast. But I think at the end of the day, the most important thing to me is that we do invest in our talent and we do take care of them.
The chair recognizes Councilmember Edwards. John?
Bueller? Yeah, sorry about that. I had it muted. Thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, at the end of the day, for me, it comes down to the confidence in the projected revenue in the organization, one, to meet the needs of the projects and our budgeted items. And you know, I agree that we need to have you know, merit increases, but we need to look at this overall organization. I know the city of Peoria is heavily weighted in looking what we can give our staff members going forward, and it's not a 5% by any means, I'll tell you that. And so I think we need to look at this like the Vice Mayor Tomlichoff was saying, is we need to look at this. I'm okay with a 3%. I'm not sure about a 5. Thank you.
So thank you. So what I'm going to suggest too is I'm going to welcome back the COLAs, and then we can look at capping the merits. So we can add that in there as well, and then we can come to some type of consensus about what the capping of a merit would be. But I'm going to invite back the COLAs.
Oh,
Yes.
all right. So,
The chair recognizes Pastor.
thank you. So due to, and Ken, you would know this, due to our fiscal forecast and knowing what our fiscal forecast is really at this point, we will not be doing COLAs, one-time pay, or any other across-the-board increases. We will be doing merit. I'm not sure the percentage, and that's what I'm asking for, but only approximately 85% of our employees will get it. Everybody is tapped out. The other percentage is tapped out. Once I get the percentage, I'll share it. However, I'm glad you brought the information to us. I think this is a conversation, and we had these conversations, or our city of Phoenix had these conversations on the budget and all these pieces in exec session to really understand and tear apart the numbers and look at the numbers and understand budget-wise. But if we want to have it publicly, that's fine. Obviously, you're hearing that we're not settled yet, or there's not a consensus. So my suggestion, or may I suggest that you guys bring back different scenarios. If you want to include the COLAs, that's fine. I don't know if you can, or what it would look like. That is my suggestion, so that then we have some options to look at, and we can then determine where we're at, where we can settle.
If I could, Mr. Chair, just want to comment to Councilmember Pastor's comment there. So if we were to do as you're suggesting and the chair's suggesting, go back and look at a COLA, let's just say, for hypothetically, say we say 1.5% makes sense, right? Inflation right now in the Phoenix area is hovering right just below 2%, I believe. So if we said propose 1.5% or 1%, and then capped at 5% merit to something lower, 4%, 3%. I mean, just off the top of my head, rough estimates is it won't move the needle a whole lot on the total number. It'll just move from one bucket to another.
Excuse me, I would like to make a motion that we go into executive session right now.
We don't have an agendized executive session, I'm sorry.
What I would, can I step in? Okay. What I would suggest is that we bring back several different items. And then at that point, we can discuss the positive and, I don't want to say negatives, but possibilities of what we're looking at. I think you're hearing from the board that some are at 5%, some are at 3%, some are at 2 point something, but we're not there. And so this is an information only, and eventually I'm assuming this is going to come in front of us.
Yeah.
So I'd rather right now say, provide us some more information. Let us have another dialogue. And I would design it backwards in the sense of when you need this vote to really the end of like, we need this vote, yes or no, and to do a design backward, design. I'm not saying this right. Backward design, and then we can work backwards so that you can get to where you need to get to, and we can get comfortable where we need to get to. Those are my suggestions. Going back and forth is not going to help.
I also, Mr. Chair, members of the board, I also want to offer that the Audit Finance Subcommittee exists to preview this content. They typically receive this content in advance of the board. The next Audit Finance Subcommittee is scheduled for May 8th. So we could bring this information back, whether that's open session or executive session. I'll leave to the AFS chair to determine, but that's another milestone point at which we can bring content to the board for feedback.
The chair recognizes Councilmember White.
Thank you so much, Chair. Thank you so much, Madam CEO. I would like to request that we agendize that then for our next meeting, and I will do that at the conclusion of this meeting to ensure that we agendize an executive session during the Audit and Finance Subcommittee meeting. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We had a robust conversation about this particular item. Staff have been given direction. Let's look at the COLAs. Let's look at the merits. Let's look at other neighboring cities. Let's look at the comparables to that, see what everyone else is doing. Let's continue on with the presentation.
Okay, next. All right, so the next item here in the new initiative is under prioritized security on transit is the safety and security management enhancement. So this item here is adding a deputy chief over safety and a deputy chief over security. This would allow for a more focused management and leadership over the safety program and the security program. Right now, the head of that division, Adrienne Rees, she's basically kind of pulled in two different directions to provide that leadership for those two different programs. And so these positions are proposed to have focused safety specific and security specific expertise to run those programs. And then next, we have leverage data and technology under this strategic plan goal. A couple of initiatives here, service planning enhancement. This would add a service planner position, and this position would insource existing work that we perform with vendor under contracts. And the second initiative, number 6 there, end of useful life, that's just usual replacement of hardware and software necessary to maintain those assets up to current standards. And then on delivering on stakeholder collaboration, you can see here there were initially a couple of initiatives, 7 and 8, as part of the feedback from your member city staff and management and the Audit and Finance Subcommittee. We have removed number 7 entirely. That was a position, a specialist for internal communications. So that has been removed from the budget. And the external stakeholder engagement, that's a supervisor for community engagement for capital planning projects. And this position also is one of those is insourcing existing work that we perform under contract. And this is mostly for the capital budget. That's why you see a pretty small dollar amount here for this, for the RPTA piece, because most of the work that this position would do would be under the capital program and not the operating budget. And then lastly, so the slides don't want to advance. Magus, can you help me out? Okay, so the last one, financial sustainability, a couple of initiatives here. Number 11, financial planning and analysis enhancement. What this is comprised of is new financial forecasting software. Currently, and for probably a couple decades now, we have done all of our financial planning and financial forecasting using an Excel model, as well as an Access database, which is very much out of date. So this would bring on board a new financial forecasting software. And then as well as this would add a position, a management analyst to help support that financial forecasting. Right now, we have a grand total of 1 position throughout the agency that does all of our financial forecasting and planning. And that includes managing the financial aspects of the transit lifecycle program. And so this is a real point of vulnerability for us in terms of staff resources, needing some additional staff resources to help us with those efforts. And then number 12, the grants coordinator position. This is another position that would insource work that we typically go out to some of our contractors, vendors to help us with these efforts. And this would really help us be more proactive in pursuing grants. Right now, really from the grants perspective, we're kind of reactionary. When we see notices of grant availabilities out there, we kind of react to it. Having an onboard position here, would it really help us to have somebody who's out there actually seeking grants and looking beyond sort of our typical FTA or Department of Transportation type grants. And with this one, you know, we figure all it takes is a couple of good grants that we otherwise wouldn't have received that would pay for this position for a number of years ongoing. So that concludes the new initiatives. Happy to pause here and see if there's any more questions on new initiatives.
Keep going.
Okay, so I'll move on. So for our obligations, these are those things, just kind of just math. It's like those ongoing contract rate increases for those contracts that are in place for multiple years. Increases in fuel cost in our van pool program. Another item here that's increasing due to just demand in that program. That program has grown tremendously in terms of the number of participants. And then moving on to the capital program, the RPTA capital program for FY26, $66.2 million. Primarily regional fleet and debt service are the largest items in that program. And just a note here, this debt service, this will be the last debt service payment we have. This debt was bonds that we issued years ago that were set to be paid off by FY26, just ahead of the end of Prop 400. So this debt will be exhausted and no longer on the books. And then supporting the sources supporting the capital program, primarily PTF and federal funds. And just a brief mention that RPTA, as Jessica mentioned, all employees of the agency are RPTA employees, and VMR funds some of those. So there's some pass-throughs here for the personnel capital funding that RPTA manages, the PTF funds, and transfers the VMR share through to VMR. And then we have some Arizona lottery funds that we bring in and distribute those to member cities. And here's the sources that support the pass-throughs. Then the 5-year forecast, first looking at the operating program, about a $1.8 billion operating program. Primarily main funding sources there are public transportation funds and member city contributions that support operating. And then on the capital program, we have a $407 million program here, primarily supported by federal funds. And on the use side, regional fleet being the primary capital program in capital. And then here's just a recap of the dates for the budget process. That concludes the presentation. Happy to take any additional questions.
Right. Any more questions? All right, we got Councilmember Edwards.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple. Is there a possibility for us to get a budget versus actual for the last 3 years? Working with our staff, we're not seeing some of the numbers aren't lining up, especially the one that you have on the Valley Metro website for FY25. Doesn't seem like the numbers completely match up.
Chair, Councilmember Edwards, not certain exactly what you're referring to matching up.
I'll send you an email. I've got some more specific. I don't want to tie up any more time on here.
So sure. Okay. Yeah. Just reach out and then we'll coordinate to get you what you need for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you. The chair recognizes Councilmember White.
Thank you so much, Chair. I just wanted to thank Mr. Kessler for acknowledging we had an extensive discussion and I made quite a few recommendations about the personnel concerns prior. So please feel free. I just want to invite everybody to join our AFS meeting at the top of May on the 8th at noon on Thursday, so that we can kind of, if you want to dig in a little bit deeper, I think we took a pretty deep dive during our last conversation. But want to make sure you are available and invited. And again, thank you, Mr. Kessler.
Thank you so much. All right. Well, thank you so much. That's all, Mr. Kessler. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to the next item, number 4. Any report, current events? I'm not even going to ask about future agenda items. We're just skipping it. Let's go to number 5. Number 5.
Well, no, sir. I just wanted to make sure that we should reflect on AFS in executive session during that meeting.
Yes, Councilmember White, I do have that noted.
Thank you.
All right, awesome. Number 5 is the next meeting, which is. Oh my goodness, my mind is so warped right now, you all. Thank you, board, for doing a good job. Please, the next meeting is set for May 22nd, 2025 at 11:15 a.m. Thank you, you down there.
Looking at me when you say.
I'm looking at Vice Mayor. Thank you, guys. The meeting has been adjourned.
Take care.
Chair Heredia, we can begin when you're ready.
Okay, are the rest of the folks there?
Yes. Councilmember Pastor and Councilmember Adams are in the room, and so is Councilmember Harris. So we are ready to proceed.
All right, perfect. Convene the Valley Metro Rail Board meeting. First item is the consent agenda presented for action. Any questions on the consent agenda from my colleagues?
I move item number 1.
All right.
I second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Any nays? Ayes have it. Thank you. We'll move on to item number 2, Valley Metro Rail fiscal year preliminary operating capital budget. Jessica?
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Valley Metro Rail Board. I'll again invite Mr. Ken Kessler, Chief Financial Officer, to the podium to provide an overview of those budget items that are specific to Valley Metro Rail.
All right, thank you, Jessica. Members of the board, I'll run through this quickly. These are slides we saw in the RPTA, so we'll just move through here. So in looking at the breakdown of the operating budget for Valley Metro Rail, the base budget is down $1.4 million. Overall, a $20.7 million increase over prior year, again, mostly due to the South Central operations coming on board for a full year in FY26. And looking at those new initiatives as a percentage of the overall operating or the overall increase year over year. And then here looking at those new initiatives as a percent of the overall budget, just at 3%. And then looking at the programs here, so the light rail program is down about $300,000 from the last version of the budget. Just wanted to point that out. And looking at the source of funding, again, member cities and fairs primarily sources that support the operating program. And then going through the initiatives, I'll go through these quickly. A lot of these were just the VMR share of the same initiatives we saw in the last budget for RPTA. So this one here is just the VMR share of this initiative number 1. Same here for initiative number 2, just the VMR share of that estimated cost. Same for this one. This is same exact item, just the VMR share. And then on leverage data and technology, same thing, the Valley Metro Rail share of those initiatives. This one here, again, Valley Metro Rail share, and again, showing some initiatives that we removed. We did have initiative number 9 that was on the rail only side. That initiative, based on feedback, was removed since the last version. And then for this item here, this is rail specific, so we haven't seen this particular one yet. This program enhancement is really about a few things. It's increasing the art maintenance budget because of the growing amount of art on the system as we build extensions, as well as the aging of the existing art, and especially that art that was part of the original alignment, getting much older and needing more work to maintain it. There's also an additional pressure washer position and the necessary equipment. This is insourcing work we've done under contract traditionally, and also part of this need is due to the expansion of the system with the South Central coming on board. And lastly, we have a traction power team here We're adding a manager and 3 supervisors. To date, we really haven't had a manager or supervisor positions that have been dedicated to traction power, and this is a very specific specialty. And so we want to add these positions to this leadership of the traction power team to lead those technicians and have folks to cover from a supervisory perspective as well as management, having the specific expertise in traction power. And then lastly, financial sustainability. These are the VMR share of those same initiatives we looked at on the RPA side. And I'll pause there and see if there's any questions on VMR new initiatives.
I have a question, and I didn't get a chance to ask it earlier, but the grants coordinator, is that a new position? Or is it- Go ahead.
Chair, members of the board, yeah, all these would be new positions.
Yeah,
that we're talking about.
I thought that,
Yeah.
but are they just overseeing all our grants, or who oversees it now?
So right now, the grants effort is more of kind of a team effort where work is kind of handed out to staff who at the time have the available time and or contractors that do some work. They do some grant writing for us and things like that. So this would be to better coordinate that, to provide a position that actually could do some grant seeking beyond some of the just, right now we react to typical FTA or U.S. Department of Transportation grant opportunities that come out, but this would allow us to have somebody who's more proactive in seeking grants from other places, as well as better coordination as we work with member cities. And there's been times often we've coordinated with City of Phoenix on grants. So just someone to kind of head that up instead of reaching out to a contractor, bring them on board for an effort for a period of time, and then, they move on.
Okay.
I don't know, Alexis, if you have any additional.
No, I think you explained it well. It's a patchwork and it depends on the grant. We're very reactionary and it happens to be within people's, if they have bandwidth.
I want to know part of the patchwork is consultant resources whom we're often paying to work with us to develop the content for grant applications. I think in your materials, you should see information that's not shown on the slide that relates to insourcing some of this work. And that's part of it here, is having an in-house resource that we don't have today, outside of people who can fit a little bit of that in. Grant writing and the strategic pursuit thereof is a specific skill and discipline.
Okay, so what I am hearing is we are wanting to insource a grant coordinator so that there is coordination within Valley Metro, but also within the sister cities to be able then to work together as a collaborative to write that grant specifically. And it is a skill and an art to write a grant. It's also a skill and an art to understand what you're writing a grant for. So that's all I was asking. I was just curious. It's more out of curiosity. So.
Is the 70,000, is that a fully loaded position?
So, Chair, Councilmember Adams, the cost for positions are all fully loaded with benefits and everything. And again, this is just the VMR share. That's why it looks probably pretty low for this particular position.
Okay, thank you.
There's a number associated with that on the VMR side. And when you look at the detail initiatives in the packet, that this particular initiative, it shows the total cost there for the position broken out between the two agencies.
Okay, thank you very much.
I was gonna say that number is really low. I need that person to come work for our team.
I don't think we'd find somebody with the skill set we'd want for that kind of all-in cost, right? Let alone probably that salary.
All right. Any other questions, comments? Anything else, Ken?
Yeah, let me just run through real quickly.
Yeah.
So for those ongoing obligations that impact the budget here, a number of items that are inflationary or those continuing commitments in terms of contract rate increases. And you can see here on this slide, those items listed for a total of about $18 million and some change that impact the budget going forward. So that's it in terms of operating budget. Any questions there? I'll move on to capital. Okay, so moving on to our capital program. About $114.3 million program. You can see a big decrease from year over year. That's basically due to South Central completing and going to revenue service and capital extension ramping up and some other projects that are starting to ramp up in FY '26. And then on the sources, our capital program is very much supported mainly by federal funds and public transportation funds. Moving through to the 5-year program, on the operating side, about a $635 million 5-year operating program, again, mostly funded by member city contributions as well as fares. And then on the capital side of the 5-year program, federal funds, member city contributions, and public transportation funds, really the main sources supporting that program. And a couple of the projects that are the largest part of the program going forward for the next 5 years, the capital extension project, as well as the Rio East Dobson extension. And here's our timeline. Again, same timeline we saw in RFTA, and that concludes the presentation, and happy to answer any additional questions.
All right, any other questions, comments?
No questions, Chair.
All right, I know this presentation was for information only. Any questions relate back to staff, so we'll move on. Thank you, Ken. Appreciate it. Number 3, report on current events and future agenda items. Anything members want to comment? Hearing none. Number 4, next meeting, Thursday, May 22nd. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Have a good
Thank you.
afternoon.